Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. The wait is over.
Let's get this thing started.
Go!
In the words of a great friend of mine, welcome all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to the In or Out Sports Debates best of the episodes 31 through 40. I am your host, Drew Willingham, back again on this Tuesday evening. It's about 11:07 p.m. after rolling through that intro. Welcome back as we celebrate the road to 100 episodes, as we celebrated 100 episodes last week. And I figured it'd be a good time as ever to kind of remind everyone how the show started. And we've been through now the first 30 episodes. Tonight on this edition, we're going to celebrate the highlights of episodes 31 through 40. And we'll go ahead and get that started with this one, with episode 31. You know, in this one, we were talking about the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 31 of all time. And in this topic right here, we said that Reggie Miller in the statement was the greatest to wear 31. Let's go ahead and see how our round 4 went on this episode 31.
Round 4.
And here with round 4, let's take this to the by the numbers segment. And with that being said, this one is Reggie Miller is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 31 in all of sports. And with that being said, how do you feel about that, Wole? Are you in or are you out on that?
Sadly, I'm out, but I want to be in. Reggie is like one of my favorite basketball players, so it hurts me to say that. The first I was going to say in, but when I had to think about it, Greg Maddux rocked the number 31. And Greg Maddux was one of the best pitchers of my lifetime. And, you know, and in terms of, you know, in different tenures, I mean, he was Chicago Cubs. He was great. And with the Braves, obviously, a lot of people remember him with the Braves. He was great. So Greg Maddux, in terms of what he did with the pitching as a pitcher, especially with his two-seam fastball, be able to spot it from, you know, from going, look like it's going directly to you and again hitting that inside corner of the plate. I had to say Greg Maddux is like the greatest 31 of all sports.
You know, with that being said, I definitely agree with this. I'm out on this as well. And it warms me very much to know that you said Greg Maddux, that you came to the table with Greg Maddux, because I was ready with an arsenal to unload had you not, and especially this 10-second highlight clip. Look at the movement on that.
Two seam was crazy.
That is insane. I just got to play that 10 seconds again. This clip is dope. Look at my face in the bottom right corner. Oh, that was funny. That's awesome. That is wild. This the movement. That's his two seam.
His two seam is amazing. His two seam is probably the best. I think his two seam is the pitch that made it sexy for a lot of individuals to use a two seam fastball because of his movement. Because it would, especially for a left-handed hitter, it would look like it was coming directly at you. Then it would just slide back on the inner part of the plate, and no one could really do nothing with it at that particular point in time. Like no one could do anything with that pitch. You know what I mean? He's a master of control. I mean, it wasn't even about, he threw about 92, 93, but he was a master of control.
It's actually odd when you look through his stats. He pitched for 22 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had a little bit of he wasn't as good as he was in the middle towards the latter part of his career at the beginning. He had to kind of find his way at the beginning, not as drastically as Randy Johnson had to find his way, but pretty bad. Yeah. Okay, so he started off with the Cubs. He was in 86 is when he started. He retired in 08. But in all that time, it just mind boggles me that he only had 8 All-Star appearances in 22 years. And all those years he was dominant. And it was from 88. He got it in 88, 92, 94 through 98, and then just in 2000. So, but he was still pretty dominant towards the latter part of his career. You know, he spent 11 seasons with the Braves. He spent a good portion of the beginning of his career with the Cubs, and a couple of years after he left the Braves, going back to the Cubs. Was in LA for a couple stints too. So, I mean, he did pull his time, but he's definitely a top 10 pitcher when you look at all the stats and all of the years and all the pitchers and all the careers. And just with this one pitch alone, I got to do it one last time. He was something else. And because we both disagreed, we actually unlocked the first installment of this.
Hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no, to the no.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell no to the no. Bishop Bullwinkle is in the house for the first time since we both actually disagreed on something. But with that being said, you know, we can't even argue against that with Greg Maddux. Reggie Miller was a great basketball player, did great things for the Pacers, but Maddux has a championship over the fact. That's the biggest thing. They both had long careers. Yeah. And Reggie Miller did great enough to where he's a Hall of Famer, but not enough to say the best ever that wore ever 31.
Yeah. And arguably you can make the argument that Maddux may be the best pitcher of his era. You can make that argument. Pitcher, we talk about positions, right? You can't say that Reggie, and I love Reggie. I think Reggie's one of the most clutch players ever, but you can't make the argument that Reggie was the best two guard in his era.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that we were spot on with our take for episode 31's greatest to ever wear the number 31 of all time? Let us know here in the comments. So it looks like we do have some comments that started out. Melvin Turismo's here saying Double Debate Tuesday is back. And yes, it is, Melvin. Definitely is. Yesterday was Double Debate Monday as we looked through episodes 1 through 10 as well as 11 through 20. Earlier today at 8:05, we had episodes 21 through 30. And right now, we just started episodes 31 through 40. So we just went through episode 31. Thank you for being here in the comments. Says Sartoba is on fire. Yes, absolutely. We are on fire. And with that, I feel like I got this.
I think I got my swagger back.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm trying. We got a limited schedule. You get older, you got things going on, priorities. But you can best believe that I will definitely be here on Mondays and Tuesdays, trying to make some Sundays. We got Kyle Nash on here on Wednesdays and Sundays as well. If you know anybody out there that makes content that would like to be hosted on a channel Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, got those dates open, hit me up. I got a place to showcase you. Help each other grow out here in these streets. So Melvin says Sartoba is on fire. Looks like we've got Ike doesn't give a fuck is in the house saying, I'm back. This should be interesting. Oh, Ike.
Would you please shut the hell up? Let me talk to you.
Ike, when it comes to this, I'm going to need you to do the following during this episode, please.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
Behave out here in the comments like we got a long show ahead of us. We got Paul Schofield in the house. Paul Schofield, my man, is in the house. Glad to see you in the comments, my man. Thank you for joining us. No love for Mike Piazza. Laugh out loud. Gonna have to go Greg Maddux. Yes. When it comes to what Greg Maddux did, and you saw it in the highlight there, Pisco. When you see it in that highlight, the way that pitch it would mess anybody up at the plate. Of course, you got to give it with old Greg Maddux. And, being a Braves fan, it was definitely great to see those years that he was pitching for the Atlanta Braves. We got one more comment before we move to the next highlight. This whole segment is wild. Yes, I definitely said that. That whole segment definitely was wild with certain things that were being said. And as always, if you could, subscribe now and never miss out on new content here at Sertoba Media. We'll go ahead and move this on into the next highlight. And with that being said, we go to episode 32. Talk a little AEW wrestling. It will not make the same mistake that WWE did by underutilizing Claudio Castagnoli. And with this one, we bring someone who definitely is privy to the wrestling world, and that is the Golden Boy, Greg Anthony, professional wrestler and booker, on here for now the second time as he becomes a two-time Vault of Fame inductee.
Round 3.
With round 3, AEW will not make the same mistake that WWE did with underutilizing Claudio Castagnoli. How do you feel about this, Greg? Are you in or are you out on this? Peace, good.
I'm out. They're going to make the same mistake, but they're going to go about it a different way. WWE, underutilized him in the sense that they felt like they didn't have to have him and they kind of went other directions, things like that. AEW is going to underutilize him, but they're going to do it because they forget all about him. Tony Khan has a history of hiring talent like they're action figures, and then once he's played with it for a few weeks, he gets bored of it, and then all of a sudden it goes back on the shelf. So it's very hard to get ahead in an environment like that, a culture that he's creating like that. So while everyone's rejoicing right now about Claudio being the ROH, champion, and he's finally going to get his shine and like all this kind of thing, I really think it's almost like a false finish. We're all excited right now, and eventually the rug's going to be taken out from under us.
Yeah, it's hard. I got to look at this intro with him coming back at Forbidden Door real quick. What is it?
Claudio Castagnoli! Goosebumps. Oh. And you don't normally get goosebumps. Have called our fair share of balls. My God, so in the world, we got two of the best right here.
And with that, I got to disagree. I'm in. I just feel like they see what WWE messed up on. He is someone that now with CM Punk hurt, you got Kenny Omega that's out for how long, however long you see that being gone. MJF with the contract disputes or whatever the storyline's culminating into, because we covered that when you were here on episode 14, and not much has changed since then. He hasn't appeared on AEW programming. He hasn't done anything, of note. So when it comes to that, I've got to disagree. I got to go in. They've got to have somebody that can help carry the load here. You've got Moxley as the interim champion, Jericho going against him. Come on now, Jericho at his point in his career, yeah, he did okay with being the first ever AEW champion. I'll give you that. But at the same time, I don't see him taking the belt off of Moxley. And CM Punk would have been somebody that they were going to give a good run to until he got hurt, unfortunately, shortly after he got the belt. So I got to see them putting the belt on Claudio at some point, get that ROH belt off him at some point, build a decent storyline with him, put the AEW championship on him, and send him to the moon. That's why I got to disagree. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think you're going to be really disappointed by this. One, the whole point of having an interim champion is though you have that interim champion go all the way and go back against the original champion. So it'll be CM Punk versus Moxley at whatever point. As far as like that, obviously that reaction at Forbidden Door, that was a huge reaction. But we've seen that reaction for everyone they brought in just about. and it hasn't culminated in anything more than just, you know, a small forward thinking kind of thing. Like it hasn't changed the game. It hasn't needle moved, as they like to say. So, I mean, I don't know. I really don't feel like I think they're putting him on ROH because they really don't have a spot for him in AEW because they are really main event heavy on AEW at times because they hired all these guys and basically had no plans to go with it.
No, I definitely agree with that. But they're realizing now that with with talent getting hurt, I just feel like they need to make some moves with some certain talent that they've got. And they're not doing it with Bryan Danielson, of course, with his injury history and stuff. So I feel like you got to give it to Claudio because he was pretty durable for WWE and was a big part of that tag team duo with Sheamus. I got to give him credit for carrying the load there too. So what do you guys think there? Do you think old Cesaro, now Claudio Castagnoli, has made a bigger impact in AEW since that conversation just a little over a year ago? It's hard to believe now that we are in August 15th, which by the end of tonight's edition of this episode, we'll be able to celebrate a 1-year anniversary, as we had an episode on August 15th last year, as well as 16th, and we'll go past midnight tonight. So we'll be able to celebrate both anniversaries, which that's pretty cool. So with that being said, we got some comments right here. We'll go ahead and acknowledge for this part. Pisco, I did acknowledge it during this clip right here, said I hated Maddox being a Yankees fan. I know you did, but at the same time, you got to give respect where it's due, and you definitely did, so I appreciate that. And we had a laughing moment during that. That was awesome. So 1 year later, and Claudio Castagnoli is the ROH champion. Yes, he did, but at least he's not coming up in there like a little pompous prick saying the following when he's up there talking to people, when it comes to MJF talking about the fact that he is better than people. And the weird thing is I had that clip. I was about to play it, but for some reason, I don't know where it went during this past episode that I just did and just now, but I guess I just can't.
You can't handle the truth.
Disappeared. I was trying to do this.
Let me talk to you.
It didn't work out. It ended up being a stone cold moment.
What?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Versus somewhere, if he could see this, would probably be saying that.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
At least I got to have a little bit of a roll. There we go. All right. So now back to the comments. We'll go off the rails for a second. Melvin says, all is well with Cesaro outside of WWE. Absolutely. And it's kind of like, because he's the Triple H back in the day.
I am the game. And I am that damn good. Hell to the no. To the no, no, no. Hell no. To the no.
All right, guys.
Acknowledge me.
Come on now. You're not that great, Cesaro. Let's calm it down just a little bit. All right, one more comment before we move to the next highlight. Dustin Rhodes is better as an old man of Claudio, or I guess he's saying as an old man better. Well, because you can't type there, Ike.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Get out of here with that mess. That is absolutely.
That's terrible.
When it comes to your opinion, if you're going to be a little bit off and be a little bit of a troll, then at least spell correctly, because at the end of the day, when you can't.
Ain't nobody care. Who cares? Ain't nobody care.
All right, come on now, Ike. All right, let's see. English, yes, absolutely. It says Pisco said it. I was saying it again.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Absolutely. Let's get a little bit of a Bruce action there one more time.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Absolutely. Because Ike, when it comes to comments, if Mickey Delaney was in here right now live with us, he would be trying to exit you out as he is the comment cop by saying this.
Yeah! Fine!
Pisco corrected himself to make sure that he wasn't being a hypocrite with the English correction. So yes, I got you out there. I got your back, bro. Glad you're able to make it here on this episode, as you're up here in just a little bit as well. We're going to move to episode 33, and in this highlight, you get to see who the best 33 is. And because Cody Stewart is here, we talk about the best to wear 33, and that being Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but your guy here plays in a beer and chicken league now for 6 years as a player, manager, coach, or whatnot, as my roles have evolved throughout different things of the years to back in the day I was playing. And there's a clip in here of me as we compare who the best to ever wear 33 are. You'll get to see this, have a good chuckle as I have like a Babe Ruth-like swing. It's something to behold as I taught myself how to bat left-handed in the backyard playing wiffle ball. When my body started breaking down and I couldn't put all my weight on my one back leg anymore because of injuries, I had to switch from batting right-handed to left-handed and just started messing around the backyard playing wiffle ball to where I heard of some tryouts for a formed team and I was 31 years old or 30 years old at the time. Jumped on this team, started playing, and the wiffle ball playing in the backyard worked out. So you'll get to see in this clip here as Cody and I debate who the best to ever wear 33 was. And here with round 4 is what we like to call the By the Numbers segment. Got to give a shout out to Russ Telefera for this idea that he had back in the Legacy Maker group chat about a year ago or so. But by the numbers, because we are in episode 33, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the best to ever wear the number 33 of all sports athletes in history. How do you feel about this, Cody? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm in on this. So this topic is kind of tough. And the reason I say that is because there have been guys that have changed numbers over the years. Like, some guys that have wore 33, but not throughout their whole career, like Shaq in the NBA, Frank Robinson in baseball, some of the best 33s to wear. But when you factor in just the legacy, the statistics, it has to be Kareem. He's first all time in points scored right now. LeBron is closing in on him. 19-time All-Star, 6-time NBA champion, 6-time MVP, 2-time Finals MVP, and a 15-time All-NBA. That is a mouthful right there. And to do that over the span of with two teams, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Lakers, it has to be Kareem. There's nobody else that wore 33 like Kareem.
Absolutely. Before I give my take, I tried to wear 33 the best I can in this beer and chicken league. Let's show a little highlight of that. That swing!
I'm going to put you at second overall, okay?
Yeah, my man! Yes! That swing, man, people give me props for that. Like, I'm not the best-looking athlete out there, but at least that swing is pretty smooth.
It was nice.
But with that, thank you, my man. With that, I got to agree with this. I'm in on this. 20 years, long story career with the Bucks, with the Lakers, helped mold Magic Johnson into a Hall of Famer as well. You could watch it in the docuseries with the HBO one, even though the Showtime Lakers one on that is a little bit dramatized from what they've said. There are still some key points from that. And overall documentaries have shown in the past is how big of a motivator that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was to a young Magic Johnson. He was not only big individually in the stats and, all-time leading scorer, but probably one of the best teammates that, someone like LeBron has had to learn from, from history as a historian as LeBron is. And people, maybe not quite to the aspect that Tom Brady is in the NFL, but people kind of want to play with LeBron. They want to play with him because he's a good leader. He shares the ball. He's not selfish. That's what's been difficult, I feel like, with Russell Westbrook, going into the Lakers and not being able to gel with that because he's used to being able to take the triple doubles and score and all that stuff. Well, you got to be able to share the rock with LeBron, and that's a different subject for another day. But for Kareem, though, the best to ever wear 33, I think this 3-minute highlight video sums it up as well.
Jabbar and Chamberlain. He can 4 in a row over Wilson.
Three, now he knows it. A 15-footer, good!
That's it. The shot is up. It's good. History of professional basketball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Three minutes to sum up a legend right there. Kareem is the best to ever wear 33.
That sky hook, man, golly, you could not stop that whatsoever.
You couldn't. And so many people try to mimic that shot, and there's only one that could ever do it so gracefully, and that is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So what do you guys think about that, with Kareem being the greatest to ever wear 33 all time? We covered that on episode 33 of the Inner Sports Debate. We'll see what comments we've got here. It looks like Ike is on drugs, says Melvin Turismo, because of Ike's take on Dustin Rhodes is better as an old man of Claudio. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that there too. Best to ever wear 33, D Willie 100, my man. Yes, as that's how it is out here in these streets with that swing, especially when you got to teach yourself how to do that after you batted right-handed for so many years. Carrying refrigerators took its toll on your boy at one point, but luckily now I have a desk job, so we'll yeah, there we go. Anyway, Melvin says that swinging baseball for someone in their mid-30s is inspirational. Well, thank you very much for the kind words, you guys. Teaching myself how to do that in the backyard, wiffle ball, and going out there in my 30s and playing even up until this year coaching. So it's definitely been a whirlwind of experience, but I may be at the end of those days now. Who knows? We'll see how this offseason goes. But it's getting close to that time. So we'll talk about that later. I don't want to be like a Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II or whatnot this evening. And again, remember, subscribe now and never miss out on new content. Thank you, Stream Elements, for reminding everybody on YouTube to do that. We are up to 88 subscribers on YouTube at Sertoba Media's YouTube channel. Please help your boy regain the glory on his own as he's out here pushing himself through the wind to make this Sertoba Media that's been a very short-lived brand grow and grow, and it's definitely been pretty sweet to watch over the summer. But with that being said, we're going to take this into another growing moment to number 34, and episode 34 is the greatest to ever wear it. Was it Bo Jackson? We'll see what we said here in this clip. You let us know here in the comments, and we'll go over them here at the end as we review it. This time it's the second ever Trios edition, as the undisputed champions Corey Mann and P. Alexander Wally are here for this short clip discussing the greatest to ever wear number 34.
Round 4.
And here in round 4, Bo Jackson is the greatest to ever wear the number 34 in all athletes in sports history. How do you feel about this, Mr. Wally? How do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this?
Out.
Out. Well, in his defense, he was sick.
First of all, I want to say that Paul Pierce and Giannis Antetokounmpo can kick rocks.
I think he had COVID.
Secondly, or firstly, I feel like
battled through it.
Bo gets a lot of credit for being a two-sport player, but I don't see the overall dominance of that. So for me, I would say it would probably be Walter Payton and then Shaq, just because their prime or just their careers, there was no they didn't have a match, in my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think Walter Payton's body of work and just the dominance that was Shaq. Nah, I can't give Bo that one. And Bo's not even the best two-sport player ever anyway, so let's not go there either. But,
okay, it might have to be a topic to have to say for another day with that one. I kind of like that one though. With that, Corey, do you agree? Are you out or are you in on this one?
Absolutely, I'm out. So a few notable names, excuse me while I pull up my notes, a few notable names that's worn 34 in their careers: Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Ortiz, Walter Payton, as Wally said, Ray Allen, Herschel Walker, Roy Halladay, and none of them compare to the 7'1", 325-pound Shaquille O'Neal, who played 19 years in the league. None of them. Shaq is the most dominant force in NBA history. Nobody could guard him. Nobody could stop him. In his prime, nobody was touching Shaq. If he gets in the paint and he hits you with a drop step and he dunking on your head, you can forget it. This man in his career, 19 years in the league, 14 All-NBA, All-Rookie team, 3-time All-Defensive team, 3-time NBA MVP, 3-time Finals MVP, 1 Olympic gold medal, 12 All-Star games, and averaged 24 points a game, 58% shooting, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.3 blocks. And that's only his numbers only came down because of his last few years in the league. You know, he was just kind of out of shape, out of form. He was injured a lot. But if he could have kept up with that productivity at 25, 26 points a game, he probably would have been at 27, 28 for his career. So Shaq is undoubtedly the most dominant athlete to ever wear number 34.
I was still learning the controls here. I've got to agree with you guys. I'm out on this too. Oh, yeah. The growing pains, man. We're still learning them. Still learning the controls. 3 straight NBA finals. 3 straight championships with the Lakers, and did that with Phil Jackson, who had already had 6 championships with the Bulls coming from another team. So definitely helped him out at the 7-footer as you were pulling up in your facts there with your notes. I love the notes. Shout out to Corey for the notes right
look
there.
Look at the hair.
People come to the show with notes and stuff. But Bo Jackson, definitely I agree with Wally, was not the best two-sport athlete. However, Bo Jackson was great to wear the number 34, but wasn't the best. I don't even know if I put him in the top 5 or the top 10. But some honorable mentions, like you were saying. Got to give it up for Nolan Ryan for the no-hitters. Got to give it up for Sweetness for the Bears for getting that championship. Even though in that one championship they got, he was quiet in that Super Bowl, but he earned it because he put all of his work in for those years leading up to that. He carried the Bears on his back for all those years. He would have to be my number 2. With number 1 is Shaq. 3 straight NBA finals, taking a team, helping change that culture in there that had been shaken up since the whole Magic Johnson debacle of when he got AIDS and came back and played 96. Kobe comes in as a rookie. They needed direction. They bring in someone like Shaq, who'd been around for a few years, but still had a lot to prove. And he did it, got 3 straight championships, leaves after that squabble with Kobe in 2004, goes to Miami and gets another championship, another team. It was still in contention for other playoff runs in his latter part of his career, but his body was breaking down. He wasn't taking the best care of himself. And he even admitted if he took better care of his body, he would have probably had another 2 or 3 championships. And if he would have stayed with LA, who knows what would have happened during that first decade of our new millennium. So with that, I got to agree with you guys. I'm out on this too, and I feel like it's got to be Shaq. What do you guys think? Here, let's see what you guys say here in the comments as we've got, now we've gone through episode 34 and the best of episodes 31 through 40 this evening. Let's see what you guys have to say. Pisco says Shaq was unstoppable, period. No player would ever be as dominant as Shaq was. No player will ever be as dominant as Shaq was. I have to give you that one right there, Pisco. Also, he says, got to start coaching with me, bro. It's life-changing and an eye-opening coaching these 9 to 10-year-olds. I may take you up on that next year. We'll talk more about it during this offseason. Kind of just want to breathe a little bit, enjoy the break, work a little bit more on this content, get some more new stuff out as we last week, we celebrated episode 100. 100 Mother Father and episodes. And we are now going to showcase all the highlights of those before I do episode 101, which will be soon. I'm just going to keep building the content for Sartoba Media as we do the episodes 31 through 40. And we got some more comments here. Shaq was a beast. Yes, Melvin, he absolutely was a beast, but didn't wear 34 his whole career. I'll give you that. He definitely was. He definitely was not wearing 34 his whole career, just depending on where he played. Started out playing 32 with the Magic, and of course used it again. So when he went back to the Heat, he went over to the Heat. So yeah, you could argue that, but his most dominating years were while wearing 34, and that was when he played with the Lakers. So hands down, even though it was a part of his career, wasn't his entire career, he still was dominant in 34, and nobody else won championships like Shaq did wearing 34. He looks definitely ill, man. He should have called out. I guess you're talking about Wally because I made that comment about him being very ill. No, that just goes to show how dedicated and how people cherish being on this show. I like having fun with them. This is a fun time we get to have. And throughout that 10 years since I even started this show back in 2020, the hair has grown, and now you can see an even a larger picture. It is ready to donate at some point when I decide to pull the trigger, and it's coming soon because much respect to the females out there and anybody who rocks the long hair, because there's a lot of maintenance to put into this unit to where it actually looks semi-decent out here in these streets. So much kudos to you all out here. As we've now gone through episode 34, we're going to take it into episode 35, which now, we just celebrated episode 34. I'll bring it back to that for a second, which was on this date last year on August 15th. Now we're going to go shift to the next two episodes between episode 35 with Kevin Durant for the best to wear 35, and with Pisco here just after that for the episode 36, we talk about Brian Westbrook. Let's go ahead and take it into episode 35 and talk about Kevin Durant. If he was the best ever, or still is his playing days are not over, is the best to ever wear 35. Michael Bish joins me for this one, and we talk about this for episode 35.
Round 2.
And with round 2, Kevin Durant is the greatest to ever wear the number 35 of all athletes in sports history. Very controversial topic, but that's how we started here on the In or Out Sports Debate. How are you feeling about this, Bish? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm actually in on this. And I'll tell you what, I've come to love KD, to not like KD, to really love KD, and now he's just kind of pissing me off again. So, but we're talking about athletes and what they do with their talent and what they can do and on on the court or in the field, on wherever we talk about amongst all of sports, and to wear the 35. But to me, not to be disrespectful, but the only really 35 that kind of sticks out to me is Ricky Henderson, Mr. Base Stealer himself. So you can make an argument for that, but for me, Drew, I'm going with Kevin Durant to wear the best athlete to ever wear number 35. What he can do at his height, his size, the way that he can pull up and just score on anybody is something like we've kind of never seen before with his size. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And his defense may not be the greatest, but we've seen him take over games in the finals against LeBron when he was obviously he was with Golden State when he got those 2 championships where he won finals MVP, but rightfully so. I mean, he went off in those games and he was the best player on the court on the biggest stage. So when it comes to Kevin Durant and his talents, there's no denying it. I think that he is the best athlete to ever wear number 35.
Oh, Bish, I'm out. There's one guy that you forgot about. There's one guy. He's one
Get
of the
him!
best baseball athletes of those generations, those decades that he played. He's a baseball Hall of Famer, a 10-time All-Star, a 2-time World Series champion in 1989 with the Oakland Athletics and in 1993 with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's an AL MVP in 1990, an ALCS MVP with said Athletics in 1989, a 1981 Gold Glove Award winner, and a 3-time Silver Slug Award winner in 1981, 1985, and in 1990. Give it up for Ricky Henderson. You got to give it up for Ricky Henderson. You have to at number 35. The longevity of his career, played for like almost 30 years. It felt like he played as long as baseball had it been existed. You got to give it to Ricky Henderson. That's how I feel. I could be wrong, and I did make a 5-minute highlight clip for Kevin Durant of what we're about to see that'll make you out there, the viewer, think, was it Ricky Henderson or was it Kevin Durant? These highlights are primarily of him wearing the number 7 since he left the Golden State Warriors. But what do you think? With Kevin Durant, how he plays, is he the best one to ever wear 35?
Are y'all related? He has embraced this city, and they have embraced him. Harris, and a block here.
7 seconds. Durant looks at the clock. Caldwell Pope digs in. Durant. A major splash! Didn't see the open man, Bruce Brown, on the baseline. Instead, it's Durant with the shot clock winding down. Durant lines it up. Durant!
And he's wearing the
Ben on the inside.
Brown. Look for the open man. Durant, the bounce. Joe Harris, the finish. KD, the block by Aldridge. Carter in there. Mills swings it. Durant against Gallinari. Look out! Durant! Griffin.
Way of Durant. Stuffing every day of the year.
Puts the Nets in front by 5. And the foul. Waiting over for the rejection.
Filthy block.
Antetokounmpo.
12 seconds left. Durant! You bet! KD on a 3 to put Brooklyn in front by 1.
Pick and roll, screen roll game.
Irving hands to Durant. Oh, what a find! Claxton! Brown, I think he's truly
Boston in this quarter. Nice pass. Brown. Durant gets by Williams, leaves it for Claxton, throws it down.
I had to skip forward a little bit. So what do you think, fans? Do you agree? Do you think Kevin Durant is the greatest to wear number 35 of all the athletes in sports history? Well, what do you think? Let us know here in the comments, as we will now review what those comments are. Some of you have been getting them in these comments, and it looks like we got Pisco here saying, we're just going to ignore Yogi Berra and Roger Maris, though. Laugh out loud. I mean, those are definitely some great takes. And at that time, we didn't think they were highly enough up there on that chain to discuss those two. But, hey, that's definitely a good call-out. Got to give a shout out to Pisco for that one. And it looks like Melvin disagrees. Sorry, Mike, I disagree. KD is not the GOAT of wearing number 35. Ricky Henderson, 35 was a baseball number, laugh out loud. Justin Verlander wore 35 too. Jesus, yes. However, Ricky Henderson, I believe with those stats that I rattled off, has won more World Series and has had a longer career in Major League Baseball. And in my opinion, made more of an impact on the game during the time that he played in his era than Justin Verlander has. Now, that could be argued. If Justin Verlander played on teams like he has played on since he been with the Houston Astros before that, because Detroit, except for a couple good years, didn't have as great a success as he did with Houston. Had he had that Houston-like success throughout the duration of his career, I would be more inclined to give it to him. But Ricky Henderson, based on his duration of his career, what he did, he has the same amount, if not one more World Series ring. I have to give it to old Ricky Henderson over Justin Verlander. I'm sorry, Pisco. And yes, I was shouting get him because I was on a roll as I was talking to Bish in a debate about what I was saying. And Ricky, yes, Ricky is the one there, Pisco, that I decided to go with when it came to number 35. Again, subscribe now and never miss out on new content at Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. We're going to go ahead and take this into episode 36 highlight. And with this highlight here, we've got Pisco, who's been alive in the comments tonight. Thank you very much, brother, for being here. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and celebrate Pisco's 36th episode appearance. And with this, it was his second appearance on this show. And with this, we talk about a famous number 36. And he happened to play for a team that Pisco roots for in the Philadelphia Eagles.
Round 4.
Brian Westbrook is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 36 in sports history. How do you feel about this, Pisco? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I am 100% out. Look, man, I tried so many different ways, so many different. I sat down, I felt like Einstein writing formulas, trying to make the man the best number 36 in sports. I love the Eagles. I love Brian Westbrook. I love Shady McCoy. I love them all, but he's not better than the bus. Jerome Bettis is the best 36 to ever play the game. Look, 6 Pro Bowls, all right? 13 seasons. His first season, he had a 100-point game, turned right back around and had a 100-yard game, not a 100-point game, turn around and into a 200-yard game. Both of them were against the Saints. He had just shy of 1,500 yards rushing in his rookie season. It's 10th overall pick, 94 touchdowns. I was hoping he would get his triple digits, but he never did. He did get that Super Bowl ring, 13,663 rushing yards. It's hard to top that. And his nickname is the Bus. He ran people over for 13 years. It's hard to compete with that. It really is hard to compete. You can't compete with it. He's the man. No.
Sorry, but I'm just out. I had to go straight to the point. I'm out on this too because, of course, Jerome Bettis should be the number 136. The only other one that I have is close to him, is Robin Roberts of the MLB, who played back in the day. He was a 7-time All-Star, but never won a championship and never came to prominence of anything. Jerome Bettis did, like Paul said, in his 13 seasons, 10 with the Steelers. He had those first 3 with the Rams, but in that first year with the Steelers was the comeback player of the year because of his turnaround from the Rams to the Steelers. Then goes on to win the Super Bowl with the Steelers and also getting an MVP at some point within a season. So come on, when you put it all together, the fact that he was the Walter Payton Award winner in 2001, you have to give it to the Bus. You have to give it to him as the best to ever wear 36.
Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
What do you guys think? Do you think it was Jerome Bettis? Do you think it was Brian Westbrook? Who do you think it was out here in these streets to wear number 36, the best to ever do it in all professional sports? And we got some comments here. Let's go ahead and see. We got of course, Ike is back. And Ike says, the Bus. Oh, hell no. My pops was the best to ever wear 36 in the streets of Harlem hoop ball. Ike, again, we're back at this situation in this entire conversation we've had in the chat tonight. We're back to the
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
When it comes to what you said as well.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
It's cool that your dad was the greatest to wear 36 in the Harlem hoop ball, but when it comes to professional sports, Harlem hoop ball is not a professional sport.
You can't handle the truth.
Need to
acknowledge me.
Because when it comes to this, Harlem hoop ball is not even semi-pro. Never even heard of Harlem hoop ball. And when it comes to the general consensus of everybody watching sports in general, they feel this way.
Ain't nobody care. Who cares? Ain't nobody care. Damn!
That's terrible.
I had to. And I know you're probably over there saying right.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
However, Ike,
let me talk to you.
People are doing this at you right now. And I know you're saying
what?
However, I'm saying
yeah.
Absolutely. Great job, Pisco. We definitely had fun on that episode 36. Glad to have you a part of it. And Melvin follows back with Ike, what in the fuck? FOK are you talking about? Yeah, when it comes to comments out here, Ike, you should. Absolutely. Bruce, give it to him.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
All right, well, we've now gone through episode 36 here on this edition as we cover episodes 31 through 40. Let's go ahead and keep this juncture going on into episode 37. And with episode 37, this happened to be Joey Raymond's first appearance on the In or Out Sports Debate, which happened to be on August 22nd of last year. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and bring this appearance up. And with this, we talk about the greatest to ever wear 37 in all of sports history. And we have Steven Strasburg on the slate for this one. Do you agree? Do you think he is the greatest to wear 37, or it's someone else?
4.
And here in round 4, this is what I like to call the by the number segment. And with this segment in round 4, Steven Strasburg is the greatest to ever wear the number 37 in sports history of all athletes. How do you feel about this, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this?
Now, albeit it did take a lot of research to kind of decide who I was going to pick with this. But I'm going to go without. So I did stick kind of with the baseball theme of it because, after looking at it, like there's not a lot of people who wear the number 37. But I'm going to have to go with Dave Stieb. 7-time All-Star. He won 140 games in the 1980s, which is the second highest total by a pitcher in that decade, only behind Jack Morris. And I love the fact that he's got some loyalty going there because he played all but 2 seasons of his career with the Toronto Blue Jays. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go with Dave Stieb.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. I was actually going to be out on this, too, with the same person. I mean, like Joey said, the retired guy now, he's 2 seasons of his career for the Toronto Blue Jays. He was named an All-Star 7 times and pitched a no-hitter in 1990 on September 2nd. He's the second winningest pitcher of the 1980s behind Jack Morris, like he said. So when you put all that into the equation, Strasburg hasn't played that long yet. He does have a World Series, but the Nationals themselves were kind of stacked at that point all the way around. It wasn't all Strasburg, even though he did play well enough to get that contract, that absurd contract that we were talking about not too long ago. Like when we last got up a few weeks back, I was talking about how that contract was hurting this team. At that point, they didn't know that. Like you were the one that brought that up. At the point, they didn't know this contract was going to hurt the team because he did play well during that season. But it's like that history goes to show it's like decent players or really good players play really, really well when their contract is about to be up or when they're due to re-sign or to re-up that contract. That's when they play their best. That's when Strasburg turned it up. Luckily, the team got hot during this time and they were able to get a World Series out of it. And it's probably the luckiest thing that happened to that franchise because they probably won't get another one for quite some time after everything we've seen with how they've handled in the front office with the Soto deal and everything else. Strasburg, I don't agree would be the best to wear 37. He may be in time because he still has quite a bit of time left in his career, I would say. But he would need to be pretty dominant in the next 4 to 5 years before I would consider to change my opinion on this.
Well, see, and I don't know that I will change my opinion on this strictly just because of the fact that like he just gets hurt too much. Part of being, quote unquote, the greatest of all time to wear a certain number Part of that is longevity. Like, how much are you playing? Like, you have to be consistent. And Steven Strasburg is just too inconsistent. I feel awful for Nats fans that they have to go through what they're going through right now. I really do believe that get a new ownership group in there, and they are trying to look to sell the team right now. If they can get an owner in there who is dedicated to winning, I think that whole thought process will change. But until that happens, the Nationals have never really been a team that has been dedicated to winning the World Series every single year. And so I genuinely just I feel bad for Nats fans, but I'm sure it'll get better. I'm sure it'll get better
in time. I mean, people said that about the Cubs at one point. Look at what they did eventually, and the Padres eventually got to the World Series in '99, still looking to win. But, I'm just looking at the name of the face that we have down below, the Padres, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Nationals, and the last ones to do it were the Nationals. But, however, when you look at it, at least the 3 out of the 4 teams below have won it in this millennium when you look at it. So at least they've been successful enough to do that at least one time. So that is definitely speaks volumes here in the Major Leagues of Baseball.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
No, right there. That was a good take right there for episode 37 on who the greatest to wear 37 is. We do have one comment, and it looks like Melvin's saying, what is Strasburg doing now, though? And that's a good take because the Nationals right now aren't doing much. We already know basically how their downfall has been since they last won the World Series. So good take on that there, Melvin. We're going to take this into now episode 38 as we have this 39 and 40 left to cover this evening. And with episode 38, Wise El Jefe on the same date on August 22nd, we had a double debate day for that one as well. And Wise El Jefe is in the house as we discuss Curt Schilling is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 38 of anyone in professional sports. And on this, as it was double debate Monday on that date, I remember, because our last 2 episodes tonight were the following day for a double debate Tuesday. Let's go ahead and see what Wise and I had to say for episode 38.
4.
And here with the round 4 by the numbers segment, Curt Schilling is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 38 in sports history. How do you feel about this, Wise? Are you in or are you out on the fact of this?
As much as this pains me, being a Yankee fan, I'm in on it. I actually did my research. And looked to try to find another number 38 in all sports. The closest I could find was Pavel Dementia of the hockey player. So he sort of wins this by default. I don't think there's ever been anybody, I guess, ever in any sport that's really shined as number 38. So he kind of wins it by default.
I'd have to agree with you on this as well. I'm in on this as well, and by default, pretty much. When it comes to Curt Schilling's career, 20-year career, 3-time World Series champion in 2001, 2004, and 2007. World Series MVP in 2001 with the Diamondbacks. Also was an NLCS MVP when he was playing with the Phillies in 93. He had a very storied career playing with the Orioles, Astros, Phillies, Diamondbacks, and finishing up with the Red Sox to dominate, unfortunately, a little bit over the Yankees for a short period of time. So I know that's why it kind of sucked for you to have to admit that, for Curt Schilling being the best. Yes. But like you said, the closest one to really do great with number 38 is a hockey player in Demetra. So when it comes to all that being said, you have to hats off to Curt Schilling. The highlight video there spoke enough before we even got to this point. I know it was probably hard for you to sit there and watch that for 5 minutes.
A lot of it had to be with my Yankees, yes.
But, you got to give your credit where it's due when it comes to stuff like that. And when it comes to Curt Schilling being the best to wear number 38, got to give it to him.
Surtoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Let's see what you guys think when it comes to the greatest to ever wear 38. We do have one comment, and it looks like Melvin says, I have to concur with Kurt by default as well when it comes to the greatest to ever wear number 38. Well, thank you for the comment there, Melvin. I appreciate you staying along with us now as we are just now after midnight, 12:07 a.m., as we've covered now episodes 31 through 38 since we started just a little over an hour ago at 11:05 p.m. Eastern Time. It is now 12:07 a.m. 2 more episodes left to cover, and we're going to go ahead and take this into episode 39. This was the first of 2 episodes that day, Double Debate Tuesday, as we had Brother Hugh Scott of the Wrestling Realm for episode 39, and episode 40 later that evening was the real Dwayne Allen of the Wrestling Realm as well. And for this one, we're going to go with another By the Numbers segment, with this being the best to ever wear number 39 in all of sports history. And with this, was it Roy Campanella or was it someone else? Go ahead and give a tune in and listen to what we have to say for this one.
Round 4.
And here with round 4, this is what I like to call the By the Numbers segment there, my man. And this is one that I've been doing for quite a few episodes. This is we're in episode 39. Roy Campanella is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 39. How do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm in on this one. Hall of Famer, 3-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, World Series champion. About 280 something batting average for a career, over 1,000 hits. Come on, man. Like, honestly, who else wore number 39 and did it that well in any other sport? Only other person I could think of that maybe come close to it is Larry Zonka. He has a pretty lengthy list of accolades also, a Hall of Famer, 5-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro, 2-time champion, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, comeback player of the year. That's the only other person I can really think of at 39. But I still give it to, just because of my love for baseball. I'm biased, yes. I'm going with Roy. I'm going with Campy.
Brother Hugh, I disagree. We're disagreeing again. I'm out. Look at this. I'm going to even pull the graphic back up one here, my man. Mm-hmm. This picture is so outdated when you think about what has happened since the time that Roy Campanella has played. Another player who wore the number 39 was Dominic Hasek, an NHL player who was definitely big for NHL. But when you can't discredit Larry Zonka, my man, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. When you think about Larry Zonka, and then when you think about an 8-time All-Star in Roy Campanella, a World Series champion.
It's 11 time. It's 11 time.
It's an 11 time?
11 time.
11 time? Okay. I don't care how many times. But the fact is he has 1 World Series. Larry Zonka has 2. And there's one thing that Larry Zonka did that Campanella didn't do.
What's
Larry
that?
Zonka had a perfect season with the Dolphins
He did.
as well in 1972. In a game that is really, really hard to barely even get a win in sometimes. Larry Zonka had a perfect season. Roy Campanella didn't have that. Didn't have a perfect
it's like
season.
17 games.
Yeah, 162 games is tough. And back then they played 14 games, so I even got to take a little bit less credit. Still went 14-0. They still went 17-0. Tom Brady couldn't beat it. They were 18-0 throughout the playoffs. So Tom Brady was 18-1, so he couldn't beat it. So I got to give it to Larry Zonka, the Dolphins. Anybody who wore number 39, he was perfect. And my man Larry was perfect.
I'm not discrediting him, man. Like I said, Larry Zonka was the man. He was, definitely. I'm going with Campy because, like I said, baseball, that's my favorite sport. And number 2, me being an African American, I hate to take it here, but he was part of that large movement. Well, not large at that point in time, but he was a part of that movement to get us into the MLB, to get us into that baseball league, playing with everybody else. So like that's special to someone like me. So yeah, it did to my heart.
I'll bend the knee at that, okay? I'll bend the knee at that. However, if this was episode 42 and this was a Jackie Robinson discussion and about like the impact, Jackie Robinson had more of an impact. And if he wore 39, without a shadow of a doubt, I would give it to you if Jackie Robinson wore 39. However, he did not. He was 3 numbers higher. He was 42, a number that was retired. And that number by Campanella isn't retired, if I remember right.
Right. You're right. You're right on that one.
My man.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. Jackie for the win there. But for this one, I've got to give it to Zonka. My man was perfect. Campanella was not. He did contribute, but he wasn't perfect. I cannot bend the knee at that, but I will bend the knee for your argument, though. Hat is off for your argument, and you came there with all your cards out and threw them. But if this was a poker hand, I feel like you got to give it to Larry.
I tried to get you, man. I tried to get you.
Hey, fans out there, you can be the tiebreaker here. You be the ones out there who say in the comments what you think. Is it Larry Zonka the best to wear 39, or is it Roy Campanella? All of you out there on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, currently live. Check this out. Give us our answer. What do you think? Especially on Twitter. What do you think there for this round 4 topic?
I thought about this one for a while, man. Thought about that one for a while, man.
It was tough. It was definitely tough, man.
Surtoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
So what do you guys think? Best to ever wear 39. Looks like we got a few comments out here. Well, a couple. We got Ike and Melvin going back and forth again. My unk was the best to wear 39 in Harlem Hoopball. Second best on team to my pops. Put some spec on their name, Drew. Well, Melvin, you cover it very well here in just a second on Ike, but I said this very well the last time when it came to you commenting on 36 and your pops there.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Along with
Stay off the weed.
Ike.
Let me talk to you.
Please, clearly, you don't know when to do this.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
Because part of what you're saying needs to have this type of intervention.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Now.
Acknowledge me.
And again.
Acknowledge me.
And one more again.
Acknowledge me.
Because.
Ain't nobody care. Who cares? Ain't nobody care. Damn!
Because your take is this.
That's terrible.
And you just need to please be able to do this, but you
can't handle the truth.
Sorry, I can. When you're faced this trouble, all you do is get in your vehicle and do this just like this.
You're tripping about the whole situation. Let me get my husband on the line.
Okay.
321, 325.
325. I got one guy on the run.
Absolutely, Ike. And even Melvin chimes in and says, Ike, what in the fuck are you talking about your unk and pops for? Harlem Hoopball is a fucking joke, bruh, says Melvin, and I could not agree anymore. We know you're over there saying this right now.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
Oh!
Yeah.
Well, you're over there probably saying this.
What?
With another side of this.
What?
Even Sammy's getting upset at you for saying so.
Say what again? Say what again?
Guys, we've gone through now episode 39 in this road to 100 that we're celebrating the highlights of. And we're going to conclude it tonight with one more highlight, and that being episode 40. And this one on Gale Sayers, the greatest athlete to ever wear number 40. And myself and the real Dwayne Allen are in the house to discuss this for episode 40 and his first time here on the In or Out Sports Debate. Let's go ahead and take a look at episode 40 when we talk about Gale Sayers for the round 4.
Round 4.
This right here, man, this is what I like to call the by the numbers segment. We've been doing this for a little while now here on the In or Out Sports Debate. And with this one, because we're in episode 40, we got to give a little bit of love to Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 40 in sports history. How do you feel about this, Dwayne? Are you in or are you out on the fact of that?
I am in. First of all, Gale's, name me a better athlete that has that's worn the number 40. You talking about an H-back that was drafted 4th, almost 22 or 23 touchdowns in his rookie season. You know, a career that was relatively short. He had about 7 years with the Bears, probably 5 productive, but of course naturally ending because of knee injuries. I mean, to do what he has done in such a short amount of time, I'm talking just even like playing punt return. I mean, Gale Sayers is like, who else gets in the Hall of Fame at the age of 34, right? And still leaves the game and has his faculties and can still give back, and he's an athletic director now and so on and so forth. But Gale Sayers is, I mean, it's, you get a movie named after your memoir, Brian Saul, you know, after his teammate passed away. You know what I mean? Like, there's no doubt in my mind that there's only one other person that comes close, in my opinion, that wore the number 40, and that's probably Sean Kemp. But Sean Kemp didn't win a championship. You know what I mean? So I think that hurts him long term. And then Sean Kemp had a longer career, but it wasn't as productive in his early years. Gale Sayers did so much in such a short amount of time. I'm talking about the 100th anniversary team. I'm talking about 4 Pro Bowls. I'm talking 5 all pro teams. I'm talking all American stuff. I mean, it's just there's no denying that in any athlete has done to the degree of what he has done, especially in those conditions. We're talking about the 70s, you know, 60s and 70s, you know, to be able to be that productive. He's an American hero. He's an icon in the sports of all professional sports, but especially in the sport of American football. I mean, there's nobody. I would love to see anybody tell me if there's anybody else that's had a better career, any other athlete that has worn the number 40. That's why I'm 100% in on Gale Sayers being the best athlete to ever wear the number 40.
Had the career gone a little bit differently for one person, I would disagree. But however, for the sake of argument for this, I have to go in on this as well with Gale Sayers. I agree with you. However, there was one guy who wore the number 40 who actually there was 2. No, I don't think he wore that. But Peyton Hillis was one guy who was supposed to be really hyped up really well, was on the cover of Madden.
Yeah.
As a Cleveland Brown. That's another factoid that we don't really think about that often. A member of the Cleveland Browns on the cover of Madden. Peyton Hillis was, and as the number 40. Had his career gone differently, had his health worked out a little bit better, and he didn't have to become a teacher in the long run, I think he was like a history teacher or whatnot, and he came back for one more season with the Chiefs or whatever after he tried to come back one more year. However, Peyton Hillis was one person at number 40 who, had he grinded and grinded and grinded, maybe he would, if he would have got a Super Bowl, we could talk about him. But no, Gale Sayers, even though he had a short career, 6-7 years in the NFL, like you said, he has a movie named after him with Brian Song, and that friendship and what the two of them went through. They've remade it a few times, even though the original one is still the best in my opinion.
Oh yeah, big time.
When you watch the remake, still the original one is the best one in my opinion when it comes to Brian Song. And for this, when it comes to number 40, for what Gale Sayers meant as a friend, for what he did for the game of football in the short term. There's nobody else anywhere in sports that did greatness in 40, except for, like you had said, Sean Kemp, who was a 6-time NBA All-Star, was on the NBA second team, all-second team 3 times. He was a McDonald's All-American in 1988, which not many people remember that from Sean Kemp. But the only other person to wear the number 40 notably was Henrik Zetterberg. of the NHL,
Yep.
who actually played for 21 years from
very long
1997 to 2018. So when you put that in perspective, when it comes to that, there's been some other ones who have worn 40 pretty well, but not as well as Gale Sayers. We've got to give him our love here on the In or Out Sports Debate when it comes to that.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Absolutely, and that concludes episodes 40's highlights. And let's see what we've got. Oh wow, here in the comments, Melvin says anytime, Drew, because I was calling him out for thanking him for sticking up for myself going through Ike, because he said Ike is out of control. Ike says I'm fucking offended there, Melvin, with the smiling emoji, and Melvin comes back with a bunch of laughing emojis as Melvin was laughing. Ike was laughing. They were laughing back and forth. Well, good job there, guys. Glad you guys had a great time in the comments. And, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe now and never miss out on new content, whether it's here on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, as well as Twitter and all the other social handles out there. You can subscribe with the links down below in the description, as they are all there to all the platforms. Well, you guys, we've covered now 31 through 40, and I kind of want to take this into a final word for this episode, best of 31 through 40, and with that, we must use the final word. This one right here was a pretty special one out of the highlight episodes that I've started doing since yesterday. We had 1 through 10, then we had 11 through 20, then we had 21 through 30, and now this is 31 through 40. And I'd have to say, probably one of the coolest moments of that was when I got to talk about that hit that I roped in the Beer and Chicken League. And, for the final word and for this segment, we'll go ahead and look at it one more time. And, I'm going to go ahead and pause it. I'm going to go ahead and take the clips up to where that hit was. And it was right about here. 33 the best I can in this Beer and Chicken League. Let's show a little highlight of that. Show a little highlight of that. I smoked that unit. I figured for one good last glance, because it was this episode, it was 33, and that's what we talked about. Shout out to Cody for putting me over in wrestling terms for that. It was definitely a fun episode. All of these episodes, all 100 of them, as we are celebrating 100 mother-fathering episodes we achieved last week. We have now looked at the highlights through 40 episodes here on Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. And thank you all for tuning in on this evening's show. You can take a look at the leaderboard as well, as we have through 100 episodes here as well. But guys, this has definitely been one fun episode here for this 31 through 40 as I'm about to sign off for the evening. You can take a look at some more things that we have throughout the week. We also have Kyle Nash's Student of the Game episode 70 tomorrow evening that you can check out here on Sertoba Media at 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you tune in when you get a chance to the Student of the Game. Now, here for the best of episodes 31 through 40, we've only got one real thing left to do, and that is look at one semi-badass outro. For the creator of the series, myself, Drew Willingham, everybody stay safe out here in these streets.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.